Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I know we have a very unusual view here, but I wanted to make a quick video comparing the different styles of Idoing versus Seicane head units. These are two of the most popular head units for our 2015 plus Subaru WRXs and STIs. I've been using both now for some time, putting them through the rigor. I've actually had the Seicane for years. The Idoing is a new addition, but I run it in my Impreza as well. There are a few major differences in what the units look like in the car. I wanted to outline those differences so you guys can make a more informed decision when you go to look and purchase an aftermarket head unit. Before we get too far into the video, I will roll a clip of what I drive so you guys can see my car. All right, so in front of me, we have two very differing head units. We've got one, which is the Seicane 8.1, I believe. I've had this head unit for almost 4 years now. I've been using it pretty much consistently for 4 years. It's a little weathered. It's been in the sun for 4 years. And then I have the brand new Idoing head unit for the 15 plus WRX and Forester, the Outback, and the Crosstrek. I think these all fit certain generations, but they fit primarily the 15 plus Subaru WRX and STI. Now there are two massive differences in these two units, and I wanted to outline them, and it's the size of the screen and how the screen presents itself inside the car. Seicane head unit and their whole entire head unit line has a much larger and flatter screen. This is a good thing and a bad thing. Neither have their positive or negative, and this makes the dash look pretty flat because you can see that the screen itself doesn't have a high ridge. The screen is very, very flat, and it blends very, very well with the lines of the car. Now, the Idoing does something very different, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It does have a slightly smaller screen, and the screen is further out into the car. You can see here we have a higher ridge. I will turn it so you can see the higher ridge here, and that higher ridge actually lifts the screen out in the car. You might think that that is a bad thing because it's got a smaller screen and it's not as flat and it's not as tucked in, but however, it adds some texture to the car. With the larger screen, you start to get this like Tesla-like dash where it's just flat all the way down to your shift knob or your shifter or whatever you want to call it, and it actually does cry out for some texture with the Seicane unit, and the Idoing unit provides that with a lifted screen and some textured sides, so you don't have just a complete flat center console. That's the major difference between the two, and I think it really is an aesthetic option. I've had great success with the Seicane unit. It's lasted forever. I've heard great things about the Idoing unit. I haven't used it for as long, but I've gotten some use out of it. I'll show you guys in a second. There's a big difference in performance versus size. This performance is very similar between the two. This one might be a little bit faster, but I'm more used to using this one because I've had it for years. This unit is much larger, the physical unit in the back itself, and I'll show you in a second. One of the other noticeable differences between these two units, where I think Seicane is actually done a little bit better, is the color of the trim itself. I know it's hard to see with the camera, and I'm not even going to zoom in because you're going to have to take my word because I couldn't get this to show up on camera because it's there's such a little difference. This is a flat black. The Idoing is a flat black, where the Seicane is more of a textured black. And I've got to say the flat black does not match perfectly OEM, where the textured black is a little bit closer. Both are noticeably different from OEM, so just be aware that you're gonna know that there's a little bit difference in this upper panel. Otherwise, you can't really tell in the lower panel. But the flat black does stand out a little bit more than the textured black, and it's not really textured, it's just got some like particulates in it, like it's almost like a metallic-y black. Otherwise, things are basically the same. This is a little bit more chrome than this. That might just because there's some sun fading, but otherwise the fronts of these screens and what you see in the front are exactly the same. Part of the big difference between these units as well is ease of installation. Although I like the performance and what the Seicane gives me, the Seicane is a little bit harder to install. Now don't be afraid, both of these units are incredibly easy to install. I can get one in and out of a car now in less than 10 minutes just because I've done it so many times. But part of the thing that's hard is when you're installing these and there's not a lot of room, it's easy to pinch a wire. And this is where Idoing seems to come in and do very well. These are the backs of the units, and you can tell that there is a big difference here. Hopefully, I'll hold it for a second, but we're gonna keep them flat so I can articulate here. The Idoing unit has been able to take the technology the same technology the Seicane unit has and put it in a much smaller space. Now, part of this might be because some of that technology and that tech is in the screen because it's lifted out of the unit itself. So there's a big piece of surface area and volume at the front of the screen that they can utilize for some of their tech, but I truly believe there is a big difference here. And this unit is a little bit more difficult to install just because it's bigger, it's easier to pinch a wire. This unit went in just a little bit faster because it was a smaller, more compact design. But in essence, they're very similar units. You can kind of see them in this angle as well. Very similar units. You can see the difference in screen and how much it pokes out. I think I prefer the Seicane screen a little bit more, but I'm starting to like the performance of the Idoing. But we're gonna see in time which can last the longest. Obviously, we know the Seicane lasts very long. Let's see if the Idoing can continue to have that performance for a long period of time. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up and consider following the channel. Also, if you want to buy one of these, their links are in the description. And most importantly, if you want to install one yourself and save some time, I've got installation videos on both of these. I've got at least 2 installation videos and 1 guide on how to use the Seicane because I put it in 2 different WRXs and I've put it in those WRXs multiple times. And I've installed an Idoing on an Impreza, and I will be installing it on my 16 WRX again and filming it so you guys can see it because I've already done some testing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for sticking around.